Pop Culture Pastor.
Good morning, everybody.
Buenos dias.
How are we? Guten Tag. Aloha.
Shalom.
Arrivederci. Wait, that's goodbye, isn't it?
I think that might be hello. I have to think back to that Brad Pitt movie.
Is that one of those hello goodbyes? Interchangeables? Like aloha? I can literally see the smoke coming out of your ears.
Yeah. Doesn't make great radio, but it definitely helps.
Let's go back to Cody's thinking. Oh, there it is. Sweet. It does make great radio. I think it's wonderful radio. Good morning and welcome. You're tuned into the morning show here on KFEX Fire Escape Radio 93.1. Dave and Cody here to talk about all the things we love to talk about, which is Jesus, the Bible, pop culture.
It was just goodbye.
It's just goodbye?
Yeah.
So what's hello? I don't even know what language that is. Is that
Italian, I think.
Oh, well, I thought they said ciao.
Well, then I think they say both. It's
But
like
they're both goodbye. What's hello?
I don't know.
Romans don't say hello. They just take over.
Exactly.
That's an ancient history joke. Probably doesn't hold up. No, but everybody be like, what? Anyways, good morning. This is the kind of witty...
Buongiorno.
There you go.
I finally thought of the Brad Pitt scene.
Now I just feel like I need to eat a frozen pizza. This bit isn't getting better.
It isn't.
So we'll just say good morning and welcome. So are you following this, the Queen's Jubilee, this in England, the Platinum Jubilee for the Queen? Because she's been alive for so long. I guess because when they're alive and in power for so long, you celebrate?
I saw an advertisement for it on Sunday, and that was it.
And advertise, like to watch it?
Yeah.
We have a weird fascination with British royalty here in America.
I do not, because I was like, why do I care about this?
I mean, we literally had an entire war so that we could not care about the British royalty. And then many of our countrymen and women decide to like obsess over it. It's the Queen.
So when, was it Harry and Meghan got married? Or is it William and Meghan?
That's Harry and Meghan.
Harry and Meghan, when they got married, my wife had to watch it, and I'm like, I'm going in the other room.
Is she just a wedding person?
I don't know necessarily.
No? I just thought she would be that kind of person that enjoys seeing people make that commitment to each other.
Rom-coms, she's down for it.
Rom-coms. So, okay, the reason I bring it up is it's ongoing, but there's a big Thanksgiving service at Buckingham Palace on the first night, and yesterday morning they announced that the Queen wouldn't be there, and immediately I thought, my radar went up. Like, that sounds fishy. And I asked the question on our social media, like, what are the odds they're just going to weekend at Bernie's this entire thing? Did the Queen pass away, and y'all didn't want to cancel your platinum whatever service, and you're just going to be like moving her around like Weekend at Bernie's?
I doubt it.
If not, can we make a movie about that? Because that would be amazing.
Would be. But yeah, I think that they might just be concerned about the rise of COVID strain like 300 and like
oh, really? I didn't even think about that.
And all the other diseases that are out there that are on the rise. Because, I mean, I've seen articles that it's like, oh, COVID's back. And I'm like, did it ever go away? Was it ever here? Yes, it was. But yes.
I mean, I heard a story, someone that I am acquainted with went to the doctors to see their doctor because they were sick.
Mm-hmm.
The doctor basically implied, she was like, well, I just wanted to make sure that I didn't have it. And the doctor was like, well, you know, he's like, it's probably nothing. And he like was very weird the way he said it when like, I don't think anybody knows.
Oh yeah.
So maybe they're trying to protect the queen because she's 104 or however old she is.
I don't think she's 104.
Do you think, like, I always wonder this about royalty, and because especially in history, they were clear about this, the children that wanted to take power, but now it's different. Now, like, do you think Prince Charles ever wonders, is ever in his private moments, like, when will this old bat die? Or is he not the one that takes over now? Did he like give that up, or is he still in line? See, I just don't know. And does it even matter?
Heir apparent is Sir Chuck of Wales.
And then it would be William, right?
Yes, Will.I.am.
It's so weird to think that guy could be the king.
And then she is only 96.
Oh,
a youthful 96.
Man, I don't know, man. She might not be anything. She might have kicked the bucket, and they just didn't want to cancel their big shindig. She's gonna be sitting in a chair with sunglasses tonight. I guarantee it. Guaranteed. Someone's gonna be moving her arm with the little royalty wave. Cody brings up a fair question. How is there a Weekend at Bernie's 2?
Like
literally how?
That body would be so bad.
What are they doing? I mean, you'd have to embalm him.
Mm-hmm.
Like just the semantics and the technicalities of a Weekend at Bernie's 2, which, if I'm remembering right, had different actors, didn't it?
I believe so.
It didn't have the same two guys. If I remember right, it was a shameless cash grab of a sequel. And it didn't even have Jonathan Silverman was one of the guys, and Andrew McCarthy was the other actor. Come on.
I don't get it. I thought I had made up Weekend at Bernie's 2, but no.
No. That was a real movie. That was a real movie that happened. I do remember that. And
Bernie's back and he's still dead. That's the poster quote.
What a tagline. What a tagline. I know in my memory that I've probably seen this movie, but I couldn't tell you one little thing about it. Who's in this movie? Oh, they are in it. Andrew McCarthy and Jonathan Silverman are both in it. Oh, Andrew McCarthy looks well into his...
Because this comes out in 93.
Yeah, he's... Wow. Okay. So Weekend at Bernie's 2 may have one of the lowest Rotten Tomato scores I've ever seen. 10%. Cost $7 million to make. It made $12 million at the box office. It actually made money. It made $5 million. No. Why? Here's the description. After witnessing the murder of their corrupt boss, Bernie Lomax, Larry Wilson and Richard Parker are blamed for Bernie's embezzlement and fired. Desperate to find the stolen $2 million and clear their names, the pair learns the fortune was hidden in the Virgin Islands and travels there in pursuit. Meanwhile, Bernie's corpse is partially revived in a voodoo ceremony by gangsters looking for the... We can't watch this, Cody. We're Christians. We can't watch that. What? That just went crazy.
That's way out in left field. Like...
That was made in 1993, but that is straight from the heart of someone's 1984 brain. Like, that's clearly an 80s plot line. What is that nonsense? I was all ready to say we need to watch this movie, but then I got to that part and I was like, we can't watch that.
But
the church would go crazy.
Gangsters that perform voodoo ceremonies.
I've seen it 1,000 times, Cody. That's a trope. Seen it 1,000 times. Always happens. Those gangsters. Yeah, super weird. Yeah, and no explanation, by the way, for how Bernie's body made it to that point. But they realized they had to do something, right? So he's partially reanimated. Now, okay, what does that mean? I need some details.
Zombie Bernie.
Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I only feel partially reanimated, if I'm being honest. Wow.
If I go to the Virgin Islands, I'm not looking to clear my name. I'm just going to take the $2 million. Do you know how long you'd have to work to get that $2 million? Yeah, just take it. You split it with your friend. You each have $1 million each, and then go work somewhere else.
Even by 1993 standards, yeah, that was a good deal. Yeah, why wouldn't you take that money?
Well,
That's
at least
weird.
they have morals. I guess.
I'm still a little shocked that movie made money.
I did not go pay to see it. I believe Comedy Central had like a Weekend at Bernie's marathon where they did it back to back. And so they'd play Weekend at Bernie's and then Weekend at Bernie's 2, which no one should have watched.
Whatever happened to Jonathan Silverman? He is the lesser known sibling of Sarah Silverman. But back in the 80s, he was the big deal. He was the up and coming guy. He was going to be like this huge actor. He was in like Weekend at Bernie's. The first Weekend at Bernie's is a huge movie. And he just kind of falls off the map at some point. Was it Weekend at Bernie's 2? Did that end his career?
He pulled a Joan Cusack. It's like, I like you, Joan, but where did you go?
Yeah, he hits it big in 1989 with Weekend at Bernie's. Yeah, 1993, Weekend at Bernie's 2. He was in a lot of things. Little Big League. He was in an episode of Friends.
He was in some bad Beethoven sequels.
Oh, he was in some bad TV shows. That's probably why. So shows where he was the headliner. So do you remember a sitcom called The Single Guy?
No.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Was in Caddyshack 2.
Yep. He made some bad choices. He's actually been in a lot. As I'm looking in his, he's been in a lot of TV shows that I was not aware of. In Case of Emergency, Close to Home, 5 episodes of Monday Mornings, whatever that is, 6 episodes of Significant Mother, a show on the CW.
He was in this weird movie called 1201.
He's been holding on. He's getting work. We'll say that. Jonathan Silverman, he's been getting work, but a far cry from, like, he was supposed to be a big deal back in the 80s.
And yet, his sister has surpassed him in popularity. So much so, I didn't know who he was.
This trip down 80s pop culture memory lane brought to you by
Weekend at Bernie's 2.
No, nobody should watch that. Nobody should watch that. Okay, Cody, I thought with Father's Day coming up.
Is it?
Yeah, it's coming up.
Okay.
So you might want to get a gift for your pops.
Indeed.
With Father's Day coming up, I thought it would be fun, since we're pop culture guys. Who are some of the best TV dads of all time? Some of the best TV dads of all time. I thought we could talk about this.
Oof. This has become a more complicated subject.
Oh, it has?
It has.
Well, it has, because up until about, I'd say about 10 years ago, the unanimous answer would have been a guy.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to say his name because I don't even want to get into all that. But there would have been this guy who was big in the 80s because of his role as a dad on a sitcom. That would have been like America's Dad. And turns out, he makes us uncomfortable now.
Yeah, can't say his name anymore.
Can't even watch the show anymore. Used to be on Nick at Night all the time.
Poor Felicia Rashad. Doesn't get seen anymore.
Right?
No one knows what Lisa Bonet was famous for.
Except for marrying Lenny Kravitz.
Yes, and Jason Momoa.
Yeah, and Jason Momoa, you're right.
So, yeah, we're lost on that sitcom.
Whatever happened to? Never mind. Let's just move on. I think what it should lead us to do is to appreciate the other TV dads out there that were awesome and whose legacies have not been sullied.
Okay.
Because we're coming up on Father's Day and we should recognize this. When you start a discussion on TV dads now and you're including current shows, and maybe this is the one on my mind because it just had its series finale.
Okay.
And I just want to point out about my wife makes me watch this. This was not my choice. So don't make fun of me, Cody.
I'll try to refrain.
But the deceased dad on This Is Us, by the name of Jack Pearson, played very well by Milo Ventimiglia.
I don't know either of those names.
Well, Milo has been in many things. Most notably, probably when he was young, he was in Gilmore Girls as a love interest of Rory. And then he was also Rocky's son in the movie Rocky Balboa. He's the one who, like, he asks his dad to not make the comeback, and then Rocky gives him the big speech about how winning is done. Do you want to hear it?
I was with Milo on Rocky Don't Make This Comeback because you were like a vegetable in 5.
Yeah, but Cody, that's where you're wrong, because it's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Is it?
Anyways, he's Jack Pearson on This Is Us. And Jack Pearson is maybe the best TV dad of all time. Not only is he selfless, he loves his wife and children unconditionally and is pretty much kind to everybody. He's only he's just like this. Well, he's very Jesus-like in his loving ability. In fact, he has no flaws for the longest time. And then I think in the latter seasons, they realized they had a problem because he was overly perfect. And he was making life hard for real husbands and fathers. Namely, this guy. I mean, who has 2 thumbs and can't live up to Jack Pearson on This Is Us? This guy.
I like to think I'm living very, very close in the husband realm just because I haven't seen it.
Yeah. It's a good movie. Plus, he's impossibly good looking, which doesn't help us either, us normies. But he's a great dad. Maybe one of the best TV dads of all time.
Okay.
Now that the show's over, I think we can attach that legacy to it.
That's not who I would have went with.
Do you have a selection?
Oh, I do. One Daniel Tanner, a.k.a. Danny. Full House.
Played by Bob Saget.
Rest in peace.
Oh, man. Danny Tanner. Tell me about Danny Tanner.
Okay.
Why was he a good dad?
So, on Full House, he was a single dad because his wife had died. He was raising 3 girls, basically by himself. And then
That's got to be hard.
It looked hard on the show. And then his sister's brother, who is struggling somewhat, Jesse, he allows him to move in. Just ask him to help a little bit with the girls, be their loving uncle. And then he also helps out his dear friend Joey, who is a struggling comedian. He's helping everyone out left and right. And he's cleaning. Oh, he just loves to clean. I mean, he is Mr. Clean. He has these heartfelt, tender moments with each of the kids. And he talks about how their mom would love to see the young women they're growing up to being. And he just is... He seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah, I wasn't a regular watcher of Full House, but even I know that Danny Tanner, he's a Hall of Famer dad. Hall of Famer. I mean, for just the things you mentioned. First of all, he's raising daughters. That's hard. Precocious daughters. I mean, those aren't normal daughters. Those are precocious daughters. And he's doing it well as a single dad. And he's letting his burnout a friend stay in the basement and his Canadian comedian friend also live in the house. Are they related to him in this story? Are they just friends?
Jesse is his wife's brother.
Okay.
So, like, he actually has a familial connection where Joey is just like, cut it out.
Joey's just a random?
Yeah, he's just a friend that...
He's just a guy who has a history with Alanis Morissette.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all there is. That's a good selection. That is a good selection. Even though I wasn't a regular watcher of Full House, my wife was. My wife even watched the new one. Danny Tanner, obviously, Ov's a good dad. We've each given you one amazing TV dad. Now I'm just going to run us through a lightning round, and I just want you tell me your thoughts when I hit him. Okay. And do you have one to start off with? You're looking at your phone like you have one in mind.
Uncle Phil.
I'm glad you said that because that's what I was about to start off with. It's good that we give Uncle Phil his own spot before we hit the lightning round, because Uncle Phil may be the new Bill Cosby. So we got rid of He Who Shall Not Be Named again because of his real life actions, and we feel uncomfortable with him now. Is Uncle Phil the new Bill Cosby-like presence of TV dads? I would say yes. Also played by a guy who's no longer with us, James Avery.
Yeah.
But I think he grew on us over time because I don't remember. I watched that show pretty religiously, and I don't remember having the affinity for Uncle Phil that I now have.
Well, like at the start of the show or throughout the whole show, you're seeing it kind of through Will's perspective. Mm-hmm. And as their relationship grows and he takes on more of that father figure for Will, you get the glimpse of who he really is. Because, I mean, you don't really see much of his interactions with Hillary or Carlton or Tatiana Ali.
I forgot about her.
But you see a lot of Phil and Will. And especially after Will's dad makes an appearance on the show. And
man. That scene in that episode, that's a Hall of Fame sitcom scene.
Oh, yeah.
The scene where Will asks why his dad doesn't love him. Oh, man. And Uncle Phil doesn't know what to say except for just to hold him as he's like sobbing.
Yeah.
That one still gets me, man.
Waterworks.
Still gets me. Let's do a lightning round. Yeah, Uncle Phil, TV dad legend. Lightning round. Ron Swanson, who ends up being a great substitute dad for his girlfriend who has daughters.
I mean, he basically raises any of the men that are in the workplace office.
Yeah, Ron Swanson's the dad I never knew I needed.
Yeah.
Let's see. There is James Evans Sr. from Good Times.
Love that dad.
Played by John Amos.
Although, like, very harsh at times. But you had to be back in the 70s and living in that part of Chicago.
Lightning round question. Bonus round question. Is Walter White a good dad from Breaking Bad? Is he a good dad?
So his intentions are good.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
And then he lives long enough to see himself become the villain.
Mm-hmm. That's the old man. Nice usage of the pop culture Batman line.
Yeah.
He's a high school chemistry teacher, if you haven't seen Breaking Bad, who's diagnosed with like a terminal lung cancer, and he starts selling drugs in order to secure his family's future. But like in the show, they make a big deal about how he's really doing it because he wants to provide for his family, and it's the only way he can think of in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, it goes off the rails, as it usually does.
It happens.
But it brings up this interesting question. If something's done from love, even if it leads you off the rails, can we still see the good in that? I don't know. It's interesting. Gomez Adams.
Like, he is just really cheerful and fun as a dad. And so I'm here for Gomez, even though the whole family dynamics are kind of weird because it's the Adams family. But
couple of my favorite TV dads of all time. One, Paul Kent, played by John Schneider on Smallville.
Oh, yeah.
Always there with a good platitude to offer, some nugget of wisdom. He's like a walking, talking book of Proverbs.
I don't think he is in real life.
Eric Taylor, Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights. He's another one of those guys he's not just a father figure to his own children, but
to a whole team.
Yeah, to his entire team. He's a dad on and off the field. He's always there for his players, and at times, he's offering us some great wisdom. Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose, Cody.
Mm.
Any other dads you can think of?
Mike Brady.
Oh, yeah, Mike Brady.
No one ever talks about the Brady Bunch anymore.
The Brady Bunch, I don't like talking. I don't remember the Brady Bunch a lot because I hated the show because it gave me unrealistic expectations of how my step family situations would go, and I hated the Brady Bunch because I thought that's not how anything ever works.
Jason Seaver, Mike Seaver's dad.
Yeah, played by Canadian guy.
Alan Thicke.
Alan Thicke, right. Yeah.
Rest in peace as well.
Is Al Bundy a good dad from Married with Children? I like hitting these counter kind of, they seem like bad dads, but does Al actually love his family?
Yeah,
I think he does. But it's a comedy in there, and you got to play it for laughs.
Would Alex P. Keaton's dad be a good dad?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And then the one that I can't believe we hadn't mentioned, Carl Winslow.
Oh, Family Matters.
Yes.
He gets a gold star just because he had to put up with Urkel.
And basically raise Urkel because somehow Urkel just spent all his time at the Winslow house.
Do we ever get a full explanation of why Urkel's always at their house? What's going on with Urkel's family?
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a dark side of that story where we find out Steve Urkel's whole family got killed in a car accident or something, and he'd been living on his own unbeknownst to the authorities.
He also helps raise Waldo.
Who's Waldo?
Isn't that Eddie's friend?
Oh, I don't know those. I didn't watch. I wasn't a big fan of TGIF, so I didn't watch Full House or Family Matters that much. I did see him on syndication occasionally.
Then the last TV dad that I have would be Dan Connor from Roseanne.
Yeah, another not typical TV dad who's a good dad. Tony Soprano.
Yeah.
Dangerous Jersey mob boss, but would do anything for his children. I mean, he's making questionable life decisions.
So many. I would also throw out Arlo Givens at the end of Justified, because throughout, he's very selfish. And then towards the end, he's like, well, I should help out my son somewhat.
Lots of good dads. Lots of good dads. Lots to live up to.
Tim the Toolman Taylor.
There's a lot of good dads on sitcoms, and it was a good thing because I feel like I was raised by a lot of these TV dads.
Thank you.
They gave me an image to aspire to be. So thank you, TV dads. We salute you. And to all the other dads out there, of course, happy Father's Day.
Yes.
Whenever it is. I don't know if it's this weekend or next weekend, but
I
whatever.
feel it's 2 weekends away.
Okay. Cody, in a medical first, a 20-year-old patient in New York successfully received a 3D printed ear transplant.
That's kind of cool.
That's according to reports that were going around yesterday. 3D printing, also known as additive manufacturing, I didn't know that.
That sounds made up.
It's been used to develop custom-fitting prosthetics. This new structure was printed using the patient's own cells.
Oh.
Doctor says the structure will regenerate cartilage as it naturally integrates with the body. This is a medical milestone and a significant advance in the use of living cells to create functioning biological structures. Also sounds like the beginning of a horror movie.
I've seen this play out way too many times.
I feel like I've seen this movie. The patient was part of a clinical trial that included 10 other participants whose results have yet to be published. But I mean, that's the 3D printing thing. I don't really fully understand it, but it seems amazing.
I won a 3D printer and I'd print off a bunch of nerdy things.
Yeah, right.
But this seems like it's of some good use.
I feel like this is the first step into getting the replicator from Star Trek. You remember the replicator?
Yeah.
You used to see it a lot on Star Trek The Next Generation. Mostly they would use it for food, the replicator. They would just walk up to it and say whatever they wanted, and there it was. So, yeah, if you're thinking Dave only wants this 3D printing thing to continue and thinks it's only thinks it's amazing because he wants to walk up to it and say, I want a bean burrito from Taco Casa in Topeka, Kansas, circa 1988. Yeah, you'd be right. Oh, that's great. They gave someone an ear transplant. Wonderful. Can I get a bean burrito? I am kind of shallow. I understand and realize that. It's really amazing, but when I read, like, I guess what I'm saying is I read a story like that, I'm like, okay.
Now, there's a whole nother, I guess, avenue of thought to go down of the whole bioethics of it all, but I don't know if I want to go down that rabbit hole.
Well, and that's like what's usually explored in the scary movie stuff, right? And it does seem weird, doesn't it? Because I don't know. I feel like the old guy from Indiana Jones' Last Crusade, like, you're meddling with powers you cannot possibly comprehend. I feel like that, like saying that, but I don't know that for sure. It may be, and then you have to examine all the possibilities. Do I just feel weird about it because I'm getting old?
No.
Well, I worry about it, Cody, because I do feel like I'm getting old, right? And it makes sense because that we would feel that way earlier than our parents and grandparents did. Like our grandparents started feeling old when they couldn't figure out how to set a clock on a VCR. But they were getting old by that point. They were old. Now we start feeling old much sooner because technology moves so fast. And things move so fast that I believe it creates this feeling in like 40-somethings.
I felt this way a couple weeks ago. One of my kids at the mental health center literally was talking about a new video game, and I'm like, I haven't heard of this.
Yeah.
And before, Cody's on the cutting edge of video gameage.
You are.
And
were.
And now I am obsolete.
You're
a dinosaur.
You're a loser. No, exactly. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Name it and claim it, Dave.
It just... Yeah, I think there's there's a connection between when we feel like we're getting old and when we run into technology that we don't understand and you don't even want to try to understand. I feel like that's the big signifier of feeling old. And for like our grandparents, it was the VCR. Hey, Grandma, why is your VCR blinking? Do you want me to set your clock for it? It's like, because I don't need a clock. All right, Grandpa, settle down. But like, yeah, they didn't even want to understand. They didn't care. And I feel like that's where I'm at with like a lot of things. Like when I see a story about 3D printing, I almost always skip it. I can't understand it and I don't care to understand it. We didn't have 3D printing in my day. We liked it. We loved it. We just drew things on paper.
Like it's taken my mom forever to understand texting. So
listen, full admission. When I was the last of my group of friends to get a cell phone, my whole shtick was, why would I want anyone to be able to get a hold of me whenever they wanted? Because that was not a thing before that.
You were right.
And now I know I can confidently sit here and say, yeah, I was right. This stinks. Now not only can they get a hold of you whenever they want, you can be tracked.
The law of unintended consequences.
Yeah. And so, there was that short period where people, like when cell phones first started coming out and you could text, people didn't because it was time consuming. And you thought, why would I do that when I could just call someone?
Yeah.
But then as texting became more commonplace and easier to do, everybody started texting. Well, I was the last of my friends that texted because I didn't want to. Because I kept thinking, why would I do that when I could just call you? I have a phone, Chuck. Why would I do that? And then it just didn't matter. Everyone else started texting. Yeah, I still think texting doesn't make a lot of sense to this day. But again, that might be, in my day, we didn't have texting. We had to write letters.
I have two lines of thought with it. A, you're kind of right on it.
Thank you.
That, yeah, like you could just call them. But there's like those things that it's like, I don't really want to talk to you. I just really want a quick answer. And so, like, if it's just a yes or no, oh, yeah, text is great. But now it has shifted our mindset to, I guess, being more antisocial. Mm-hmm. And it's like, this is less personable or whatever. That it literally is more robotic. And so we don't have to have those feelings of social anxiety because we're behind the screen and not even hearing another person's voice.
Give me just a second. I'm texting the guys in the booth to isolate that part where you said I was right. Hey, everybody. Dave here. Thanks so much for listening to our Leftovers podcast. This is just meant to be a little bonus content to tide you over to the main podcast that come out every Friday morning with me and Cody and our friends. And we hope you enjoy it. What these are actually pieces from our radio show. We have a radio show on a small Christian FM station in Kansas called KFEX 93.1. It's called Fire Escape Radio. We're a part of a youth ministry here in our small town. If you'd ever like to listen to that station, you can go to www.kfex931.com. It is a Christian music station, but they are different. They don't play what the 99.9% of other Christian stations play. We play a lot of indies, a lot of artists maybe you haven't heard of to go with the ones you have. And it's just a different kind of Christian listening experience. So you can go check that out. Again, it's www.kfex931.com. You can go check that out. As always, thank you so much for listening. If you can, please subscribe and rate and review our podcasts wherever you listen to them. It really helps out the visibility a lot. And that means as more people start to listen to the podcast and the numbers are going up, we're getting a lot more listeners. And so thank you for that. But as they keep going up, we can get out to more Comic Cons to see more of you guys out there. We've already met so many of you when we went to the Planet Comic Con in Kansas City. So make sure subscribe, rate, and review. And we'll see you Friday.